Hello, hello, and welcome to the debut episode of Dream Up on KABF 88.3 FM in Little Rock, Arkansas, where every week we'll bring you funny and uplifting talk about the week's news before bringing you amazing celebrity guests talking about how they overcame the challenges in their own lives to achieve their dreams. Today, we're bringing you an Arkansas superstar and legend, our king of all media, master of radio and TV, Craig ONeill.
Craig.
I'm so glad we have him on the show. What a great guy, and what a great story, really.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah,
Good
so
booking,
I'm Carl Kozlowski, a 25-year veteran comedian and journalist who won the title of America's Funniest Reporter from the world-famous Laugh Factory in Hollywood. And with me all the way from Los Angeles are my illustrious co-hosts, the Guinness World Record-setting juggler, comedian, actor, Ron Pearson.
Hey, guys.
And
Ron the Mirthful Married Man.
that's right.
Well, that's my nickname,
also,
Ron the Mirthful Married Man, because I'm busy trying to run a family here in Los Angeles. And remember, run and ruin are only one letter apart, and that's the letter I. That's me. So I can
actually
run
two
it or I
letters,
can
you
ruin
and
it. Who
run.
knows
That's,
where-
yeah. Gotcha. And also we have an El Salvadoran immigrant who's fulfilled his own American dream of becoming a successful immigration attorney with 7 offices nationwide, Antonio Delgado.
Yo, guys, what's up? How's it going, man? Yeah, I'm really
What do
happy.
you like to call yourself?
Ole.
Antonio,
No,
what's
we
your
got-
nickname?
We got the gang back together again. Oh, I'm the
irony is-
degenerate.
And I'm
We-
Double Portion.
Oh, so
So
your nickname. So basically, for those of you who don't know us, that's our nicknames. I'm Ron the Mirthful Married Man Pearson. Antonio, you are.
The degenerate Antonio Delgado.
It's
And I am
Antonio,
Double
not
Portion.
degenerate. The nickname goes in the middle, guys. We've been doing this show long enough to know where your nickname goes. But I want to propose a change to your name, Antonio.
What is
I want you to be Antonio. I can get you in Delgado. If you're an immigration lawyer, you can get us into parties. You can get us in just about anywhere you want to.
Well, you can get us into America. Anybody, come on. That's
Come
what
on.
he does.
Yeah.
But well, just to let you guys know who we are, we had a radio show called Man Up and then called Dream Up LA in Los Angeles on major radio station KRLA AM 870. And I moved back to Little Rock, my hometown. So we're reviving the show, and it's going to be exciting, not just here in the state of Arkansas, but we're also going to be syndicated to places like Columbus, Ohio, New Orleans, Flagstaff. It's going to be amazing. So you're part of something really
We're right here in Little Rock, broadcasting across the entire state on the
Yes.
fabulous KAFB.
A.
F.
B. F.
BF, KAFB.
Good job,
I'm
Ron.
dyslexic.
Yeah. So, anyways, you guys want to say anything else about yourselves, or should we just get to it with the news?
I think people have heard enough about us, man. Let's get to the news. Let's see what's
All
going
right. So, what we do every week is we take a look at some of the week's news in a funny and uplifting way, and before we bring you the celebrity guest of the week. And so today we kick it off with "And now the news."
Woohoo!
Okay, today we've got a wild one. A 30-year-old man named Spencer Eldon was unwittingly photographed as a naked baby, and his picture wound up on the cover of one of the biggest rock albums of all time, Nirvana's Nevermind. Since then, that record has become one of the biggest records ever made, and all his parents were ever paid for it was $200 from the photographer friend who snapped it. Now 30, Spencer is suing 15 different people involved with the record, including the surviving members of Nirvana, for $150,000 each and a total of $2.25 million, claiming that he's been traumatized by having his wee-wee showing for the past 3 decades. But he posed in swim trunks for photos marking the album's 10th, 20th, and 25th anniversaries. So does he have a leg to stand on? And guys, would you as parents ever let your own babies be photographed naked for just $200?
It's
Ron?
not a question of the money, Carl.
on.
But would you for 300?
I mean,
No, but isn't there a story behind how that picture, wasn't there like a friend family who took that picture?
yeah. So what happened was the baby was swimming in the pool, which is kind of a strange thing for parents to leave the baby floating alone naked in a pool in the first
That's
place.
really a bigger issue, don't you think? Like, hey,
Child
let us
safety.
take a picture of your baby 8 feet underwater without oxygen. No
I
parent.
know. Yeah, well, so this guy, their friend was a photographer. He's visiting. He says, "Hey, your baby looks cute. Can I take a picture?" Give him $200, and they didn't realize until like a month later that it wound up on billboards all over Hollywood. Because in Hollywood, they post mega billboards of major albums, and they were like, "Oh my God, that's our kid," but they never did anything about it. But now the guy's 30, and suddenly he claims he's been traumatized. So I think probably because he figures that any woman he meets is thinking, "Oh, it's only that size." So he's just frustrated and wants to make some cash now.
I'm sure the money will relieve his trauma, right? The few million
Yes.
he can relieve his trauma and swim the money.
Said
Well, does he-
Antonio, the lawyer.
Well, as a lawyer, I mean, what do you think? Do you think he has a case to stand on, or is this ridiculous?
I don't do that. I just do immigration, but just as a regular Joe, it really depends on the contract they sign, right? With the photographer, it really comes down to that. And I mean, you never know what's gonna hit. That picture could have sold $0. It could have just gone in someone's portfolio,
And
and
how do you know they're
$200 would have been a bargain.
And how do you know they're going to take the picture to use it? Odds are they're never going to use the picture. So
Yeah,
$200 is $200. The problem is, it all comes down to negotiating. Our show's about dreaming up, right? Going from nothing and creating something out of it. He had an opportunity. Obviously, he didn't get that. That album's made millions and millions and millions of dollars. And what percentage of it did he get? Yet he's the iconic figure on it, right? But
Yes.
he got $200. So his parents didn't have the foresight to throw something in. Yeah, how about a little profit sharing on the back end? But needless to say, I'm sure he's benefited off of the years. Every time, hey, I'm the guy on the cover. I mean, come on, who wouldn't want that, right?
yeah, exactly. No,
And
I'm
he
sure he walks
posted-
around with the picture showing it to people before this.
Yeah, he posed like I said for the 10th, 20th, and 25th anniversary wearing shorts, as he got older, but he did it. And the thing is, I had my own weird experience with how a photo can be misappropriated. I once performed at the Ice House Comedy Club in Pasadena, and we had to sign a waiver that we would have our pictures taken that night. And I didn't know what was going to happen. And the next thing I know, like a year or two later, I get a text from a friend in New York City sending me a photo of a Samsung billboard in a New York City subway. And it's a picture of me looking bloated and drunk, holding a microphone.
That's
and
every
the ad
day,
was
every day, a
mocking.
picture of you every day.
In other words, yes. And it was used for an international Samsung campaign, mocking me, using my photo. It was implying it was something about having a bad night. Use your Samsung for something. And I mean, I got nothing for it, just humiliation. I'd rather have my wee-wee showing.
Oh man,
Oh,
you have to
Carl.
pay people to show yours.
I mean,
Well, don't sign off on things. I guess that's what the rule is here for Dream Up, because you never know. But could you have, hey, National Samsung, you should have used that. I'm on a National Samsung ad,
well, that's what I tell people now. So yes, I am trying to spin it.
Carl, do you have a
Go
copy
forward.
of it? Anywhere you can find it?
I looked for the dang thing and I can't find it, but I swear to God, it happened.
I don't know,
If
man.
I-
People are really good investigators on the internet. If anyone finds it, send it our way. I want to
Yeah,
see.
please. If I was the kid from the album cover, I would walk around that with blown up behind me cardboard, and I would just walk. I'd go into bars like that. Yeah, that's me. That's me.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, isn't the
Well-
cover of that news article with him swimming in the pool? Isn't he swimming in the pool? In the
Yeah, so
cover of
that's
that-
him as an adult doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. He's reacting to the thing, and then all of a sudden he's traumatized by it. Oh,
Yeah,
well.
exactly.
Nah,
Well,
He's
let's
just trying to get
move-
cash.
yeah.
He's not that traumatized. I have a feeling. Carl,
Well,
you
let's move on to our second story. Lead story 2, Electric Boogaloo. All right, so Polish silver medalist javelin thrower Maria Andrzejczyk just won her medal at this year's Summer Olympics when she heard that there was a Polish infant in need of heart surgery his parents couldn't afford. So she put up her medal for auction to raise the money needed to save the baby. She met
Wow.
her goal of raising the second half of the $385,000 needed by the child's family, but then the buyer, Polish supermarket chain Zabka, made an extra surprising move of its own. They gave her back the medal, making their donation a purely charitable one and saving not only the baby, but Maria's Olympic dreams. Any thoughts on this, guys?
That's pretty incredible.
I love it. What a great story. That's the whole beauty to working hard in your life to achieve a dream. Then you achieve it and look all the great things you can do. So she sacrificed. It ended up coming back to bless her even bigger, right? Because it came back. But you know, the funny thing behind it for me is with the amount of money our government is printing right now, that silver medal is going to be worth way more than that just by the value of the silver alone in another few weeks. So hold on to that medal, babe. But man, she's, first of all, does that make you want to move to Poland and meet this girl? Antonio, you're single. Carl, you're single.
Sure. And I got the Polish name.
Carl, you're Polish. You got a Polish name too, buddy.
Yes, Maria, I'm coming for you, baby.
No, but this young lady, man, she really understands the value of what it means to win, because winning is not just the medal. It was actually coming in and winning second place, you know, that everyone already knows she won. So it's not like she was giving up her win and giving away the medal. It's like she won twice, once by winning the competition and another by giving to a new life. And then here it goes. You're right, Ron. The universe just seems to reward you. You know what I thought? I always thought that, have you ever given someone a present and they were not grateful? Have you ever done that to a kid? You gave a kid a present and they weren't grateful?
Carl, I've done that many times, giving Carl things.
Ron, do you remember when we give Carl something and he's not grateful?
Yeah.
No comment.
No, it makes you not want to give. It makes you not want to give the gift again, though. I mean, I have kids. You have a son. You know?
And I think the universe works that way myself, my friend. I think when the universe gives you something and you're grateful and you give back, man, it wants to give you even more because it realizes that when it gives you, you actually create more. And I think this is a great example of that.
You say the universe, I say God. But
God.
We say
That's
potato,
what I mean.
I say potato. Yeah. No, I agree with you, Ron. I'm with God's side here. But yeah, so anything else you guys want to say, or shall I move on to the third? All right, a third story. Third time's the charm. Well, unfortunately, the whole world watched as the Biden administration completely botched the exit mission from Afghanistan a few days back. But something amazing has happened there that we should tell people about. The numerous U.S. Special Forces vets have pooled their own resources and have been undertaking daring private undercover missions, complete with aliases, because they're afraid of both Afghan capture and retribution from our own Congress. They are managing to get into Afghanistan, track down Americans and their Afghan allies, and have been walking them to safety either over the border or onto evacuation flights. Basically, they're getting the job done that our government couldn't be bothered to finish. What do you say, guys?
Well,
Yeah, Ron.
first of all, once again, just like the last story, when you achieve great things, like obviously these guys had great achievements as special forces operators, but then they're able to, you know, once they've achieved, they're able to give and share with others. I'm so impressed with these people going there. I've been to Afghanistan myself. I was there in 2006 doing shows for the troops. These were amazing people. I met Afghans there who were risking their lives by doing things with the Americans. They were amazing people. It is a brutal country. I'm so impressed with these people. And it's shocking to me that they have to have aliases to protect themselves from our own government. And I met a man here in Los Angeles who was special forces, who used to go, I don't know if he still does it, but he used to take teams of special forces guys into other countries to rescue women from sexual slavery. And very dangerous. He risks his life on that. And he had a fear. He couldn't, I wanted to do a documentary about him, but he would not allow anybody's faces to be shown, because he says he's afraid that our government would extradite them to the other government on war crimes. And so there are forces within our country that would do that. So these poor people have to do it in secrecy. But to me, they're heroes, and thank goodness, and may God bless them and protect them. That's what I spoke for a long time on that, guys. But I got a lot to say. Antonio.
That's fine.
No, it's important though, Ron. And yeah, I'm just speechless, because these times actually reveal who we are. I really do. I mean, some people just step up and they do what needs to be done. They sacrifice without hesitation. I mean, there's people that don't really get recognition by the media, but there's been individuals that have been flown their planes to Afghanistan and try to get Christians who have been abandoned by the government here in the United States and the Afghani government that collapsed. But there's so many unsung heroes, and I want to bring light to as many of them as I can, because it's incredible. And you know what? When you see it in the news, it's something. But when it reaches your doorsteps, it really makes it personal. I've been actually contacted by a few Afghani families, from actually a few Marines that have been overseas, telling me, hey, you know, my translator, he's gonna get killed if we don't get him out. Can you please help me? You know, people just been reaching me out from all over the world, and it just makes it more real when it's actual people, you know. So yeah, I hope to have some good news about this soon, about the part that I'm doing.
Wow, you
I
just
think
gave me chills.
I think you're probably being approached because your own beard makes you look like an escaped Afghani.
Yeah, it's a sign of manhood, my friend. Yes.
Oh, ouch. As I'm clean shaven, that's quite a dig there. So, folks, let's get to our last story. And finally, a Virginia teenage girl named Avery Sanford showed way more maturity than her own father when she turned 18, and her father decided to make his final child support payment of $800 the very hard and petty way, by driving a dump truck filled with 80,000 pennies to her mom's house and dumping them all on her lawn. Rather than just cry about it, which would be easy to do, they collected all the pennies, and Avery wound up donating them to a battered women's shelter to protect other women from abuse. Her father later complained to local media that he didn't want to alienate Avery further, but then he decided to dump the money that way after years of frustration over Avery and her care and his inability to see her. What do you say, guys?
Yeah.
Wow, this story's packed, man. First of all, he was ticked, right, to drop that many pennies, which is only $800, right?
Yeah.
But man, could you? That's a lot of spare change, bros. And my fear is
taking a lot of time at the Coinstar, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. My fear is that he's telling his daughter that that's what she's worth, and in her future, her ability to dream up, to become who she is, could be hindered by things that she's told by her father. Now, I can relate. Well, I can't. I'm not divorced, but I can at least feel for someone who wants to see his daughter and isn't allowed to see her for whatever reasons. But maybe he has anger issues.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why. I'm not sure. Antonio?
Yeah, well, I'm divorced, and I can tell you that divorces can get really nasty. And unfortunately, I think his anger made him lose sight of what was important, which was his daughter. And I think the bitterness towards his ex-wife got the best of him when he dumped those pennies on the lawn, those coins on the lawn. But yeah, man, I can understand, right? I'm sure we all imagine doing the same thing to the IRS, right? When we pay our tax.
Would love to do that. What if he dumped those pennies on, said, "There's your payment," and what if he handed his daughter a couple pieces of gold?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He could have done some things to redeem himself, but boy, boy.
That's still pretty shoddy treatment of the mom. I mean, even if she was rude to him or something, I don't know. That just struck me as beyond the pale.
True.
No,
obviously,
but I gotta say,
voice his feelings very well.
I do give him. I mean, on a pure taking the morality of it out of the question. I mean, on a creative level, I go, you know what? I got to give it up. I mean, that's pretty amazing. Imagine all the trouble he went to get 80,000 pennies and rent the truck, and then get a dump truck to dump it all. I mean, come on, I mean, I would.
But his daughter's probably saying, "Yeah, Dad, if you would have put that kind of effort into trying to get me." I think a lot of people sit under a veil of shame, and so he probably tried a few times to contact his daughter, and she probably didn't want to talk to him, and he's stuck under the shame. Well, they don't even want to They don't even want to, and now I still have to pay. And so he's stuck in the shame. You got to get the shame off of you so that you can be the man you're meant to be and go and just say, you know what? I'm going to honor my ex-wife, even though she was married to me. She is the mother of my daughter. I'm going to honor my daughter. And you just keep knocking on that door, even though you keep getting rejected. I just think shame gets in the way. And
all right, well, guys, I say that's time to wrap up the news. And now we'll be bringing you our guest. 1 second. All right, our very first guest is an Arkansas legend, perhaps the most famous man in the state, next to President Bill Clinton. I mean, ever. He spent decades as the top morning DJ in Little Rock at stations like KKYK 104 FM and B98.5 before switching gears about 20 years ago to become the sports anchor and eventually the lead anchor of the nightly 10 o'clock news on Little Rock's local CBS affiliate, KTHV. He's been a lifelong friend and mentor to me, and I'm thrilled to introduce him to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Craig ONeill.
Greg.
Thank you.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank
Welcome
you.
to the show, Craig.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Do I get paid for this?
Yeah,
We're
we've got a real
wondering too.
budget for it.
That makes 4 of us.
Yeah.
We'll pay you in Chick-fil-A, but it's only got to be on a Sunday. Anything you want on a Sunday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
I'm with you.
All right. Well, Craig,
meet you there.
we got a million questions for you, so I'm going to kind of jump
Oh,
in
Lord.
here. But I guess we want to let people know from the beginning about you. I mean, did you always know you wanted to be in radio and TV as a kid? And
Well,
if not, when and how did that all come about?
Well, Carl, I was much like you, a nerd.
Oh, thank you, Ron.
It's an understatement about Carl, by the way.
That was a compliment.
Sure. Oh, God.
No, when you are in junior high and you are not one of the cool people, that you turn to radio and those guys are cool, I like the way they sounded and loved Johnny Carson. Did the same thing there when I was in high school. He was always so cool, so debonair. He could come out with a funny line that had been written by 18 overpaid writers and talk to these beautiful women, these starlets. And so that's what I wanted to be. So that's a long-winded way of saying, yeah, I knew from an early age I wanted to be in radio, TV, and it was probably driven by hormones. So,
Hey, well, it's as good a reason as any there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, did you have a favorite local hero when you were starting or as a kid? Oh, wow. Ron's got an autograph photo or what?
Hey, right here. This is Johnny Carson gave me this.
There it is.
My wife and I.
Wow.
My manager was toured with him for years and was one of his best friends. And so Johnny was a great. I love the fact that you idolized the greats. You obviously
I did.
High with that. And
I did. And interesting side note, in 1988 at a roast, the roast occurred at the same time the writer's strike was going on. A man on the board of the Diabetes Association, which was the beneficiary of the roast, was also the chairman of the board of local affiliates for NBC. So he had some pull. Johnny Carson's not doing anything because of the writer's strike. Johnny Carson calls me and a 10-minute conversation over the PA at the roast in front of 500 people. And it was one of the highlights of my career.
that's
awesome.
Fabulous. Congratulations, man.
And to this day, people who were in that room said, wow, it was like you were talking to your next door neighbor. And I said, hey, he was in my bedroom for 5 years. So yeah, he's my idol. It was fantastic. I can't remember what we talked about, but it was funny.
Isn't it
So, Craig,
funny that you
wanted to be-
idolized him? You became a comedian. When I was a kid, I remember the first time I watched him on TV at night. I think I was 6 years old or 7 years old. I was at my friend's house. Why did my parents let me stay up till 11:30 at night at my friend's house? I don't know. But I remember just laughing and laughing and laughing. And I went running home thinking, this guy's the funniest thing. He's so funny.
This is the way to live right there.
And I'm a comedian too. So, hey, Johnny influenced a lot of people, right?
And from doing your research, y'all know that every comedian from my age group the highlight of their career is being their first time on Carson. You hear them over and over say, I will never forget the first time I was on Carson. I don't care if it's Seinfeld, Robin Williams, you name the great comedians, they remember it.
The first time I was on Carson, I had really good seats, about the 8th row. The second time, I was like in the 15th row. So what's funny is I saw a lot of late.
I saw his show. Yeah, I saw his show in person too, and it amazed me is how they were also smooth. It was just they were in these grooves that they formed over years and years of doing this every night, and every move was second nature to all of them. And I got to see the show, and the reason, Carl, we did this, we got to see the show. I had on my radio show the Laugher of the Year in Arkansas. The person with the best laugh would win an all-expense-paid trip to LA with Craig to see Johnny Carson's show. And we had to pull some strings. Yeah.
Who judges that?
I was. And the way we get them to laugh is we call them up and we chat for a second. Then I go, okay, now do me a favor. Close your eyes and try to imagine your boss naked. We not only got the greatest laugh, we also got the greatest gag.
Yeah. And
reflex.
The guy that won was self-employed. So how about that?
Hey, so Greg, so you wanted to be in radio. Craig, you wanted to be in radio, but was there that moment when you had that big break, or did it come out slowly? How did it happen?
It just kind of evolved. And started in Jonesboro, and I sounded so much more professional and sophisticated than the average person in Jonesboro, Arkansas. So it was easy to be noticed, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so then went to Little Rock, and y'all, I don't know, I read Johnny Carson's book, and his life had become my blueprint for how I was going to do my career. Johnny Carson started out in small market radio, moved to small market television, moved out to LA, got a afternoon game show, and then worked his way to the Tonight Show. I went, that's what I'm going to do. Well, I never got past the small market radio, but that's okay. No, actually, I didn't get past the Little Rock radio and Little Rock TV, but so it kind of got hung up there. But yeah, it just kind of evolved. It started out in KBTM in Jonesboro, the talk of the town, and moved to KERN in Little Rock, and there you go.
Did you have any childhood dreams that you chose not to pursue? Like, I could have been this, or I wanted to do this?
Bullfighter.
Yeah. What?
Bullfighter. I wanted to be a bullfighter.
What's funny is because you're still full of bulls, so it works.
Boom, boom, boom. I like it. That is 3 scores, 3 points you've made. But no, I wanted to be a bullfighter, but I had big hips. I never was going to get that little tiny costume over them. So the bull didn't scare me.
The parents did.
What did your father do? What did your father do, Craig?
My father was an interior decorator.
Really?
Oh, wow.
And my mother was an art teacher. And so there you go. Well, that fell flat. You probably thought I was setting you up for a joke. Nope, goes nowhere after that.
I mean, were you like a class clown when you were growing up?
What do you think, Carl? What do you think? God
so
gave
were
me
your parents happy that you finally found something that put it to good use?
My parents divorced in 1961, and I was in the middle of an ugly trial, and they were both fighting over the term they were both fighting over. Help me, I'm 70 years old, I forgot. Yeah, well, they fought over me. My mother lost and had to take me. Bada bing, but you know. But no, Carl, God gave me a PA system, and I couldn't whisper in school, so I was constantly kicked out of class and was the class clown, getting cheap laughs at a teacher's expense. Are you kidding me? It was fantastic. What a breeding ground for comedy.
Yeah, so I was the same way. I went to St. Edward's, and I swear to God, I was sent to the corner so much. It was like more, I was used to that more than looking at the front of the room. My parents
Like
didn't know
when
what
the
to do
teacher
with
tell
me.
you, settle down, kid, you're not gonna get anywhere being a clown. Did you hear that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did you ever go back to your teachers and show them,
Oh, I
what do you
love
think of me now?
Here's the thing I realized about teachers. They would rather have had someone like me in class who was on top of everything they were saying, paying close attention so I could find a way to zing in something. They would much rather have had that than quiet passivity where a child just shuts down and doesn't give them anything. And I found that out later from every teacher I ever had. They all came up, they said at one time or another, you were my favorite student, one of my favorite students. So there. So Carl,
Yeah.
sure, we knew the corner, but that's okay. They sent us there because they had to get to chapter 2.
Well, I did the same thing. I was pretty loud in class and interrupted a lot, but got laughs, but also tried to add. You know, you don't try and take away from the room, you try and add to the room, right?
Right.
And, only got in trouble for it a few times in high school, even got higher grade in college for it at the University of Washington, which is pretty rare. I was expecting a lower grade. And she goes, just really like your class participation. So I'm like, oh, yeah, so thank goodness.
What was the class? I got to know, what was the class?
That was English class. I was studying business, so English wasn't my stronghold on writing stuff down because I like numbers and I like, you know, and I'm too ADHD. Are you ADHD, by the way?
No, you would think they didn't have it back then. They only had A. They hadn't discovered the DHD yet. And the second letter of that was S. Take it from there.
Oh boy. Well, so what about because I know that you had a pretty important moment of formation leading to your radio career when you went away to college. Can you tell us about what it was like starting in college radio?
Oh, it was awful. Are you kidding? I had my first gig. I wrapped a tape around. By the way, it was back when they had reel-to-reel tape, and I wrapped the tape around a tape machine, and that was the austere beginning of a career that has gone absolutely nowhere. But that's okay. Let's just leave it at that. But so yeah, it was a rough beginning on the college radio. Now the local radio station, KBTM, I got a job there. It was commercial radio. And it was there that I did things like, since this is being recorded on Labor Day, I'll have you know that we actually had this on KBTM in Jonesboro. I can still remember it. Here we go. It is time now for the KBTM Holiday Death Toll, brought to you by Hogan Winters of Wiener, with all your insurance needs. And now the holiday death toll is 662. Folks, that's not near enough. Let's get out there and drive like hell. And remember, if tragedy should strike you, remember Hogan Winters of Wiener. I'm not kidding. And that ran on Labor Day. That was a big sell on Labor Day.
That's funny.
Wow.
That was a good plug.
So drive like hell.
Well, your real name is Randy Hankins. You don't really hide
Shut
that
up,
from
Carl.
the public.
Nobody's supposed to know that. Cut it off. Edit. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
What led to you taking the name Craig ONeill?
I didn't take it. I didn't take it. I was given that name. In 1972, I was hired to come back to Little Rock and work on Little Rock Radio, my hometown. And the program director at that time thought Randy Hankins was too country. So he said, I'm going to give you another name. Craig ONeill. It's a guy he'd worked with in Seattle, had that name, who now, by the way, is in intensive care in a sanatorium. But anyway.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So I don't know why he thought Randy Hankins was too country, but he did. Idiot. My grandmother was the most upset that I had my name changed. She said, aren't you proud of it? I go, I am, but what am I going to do? I got to get a paycheck. So I'm Craig ONeill, and the rest is history.
So I had to change my name too because of the Screen Actors Guild, but I only changed the last name. You know, Ron Pearson is what I go by, but my real last name is Myers. So but in the Screen Actors Guild, it's one person per name, because you can't be taking credit for other people's work. And you're on radio,
I didn't know that.
Which is AFTRA. So AFTRA is the same because I'm also in AFTRA. You're in AFTRA, right?
No. I am in the Screen Actors Guild, though. Yeah, I'm in SAG. But
wow.
Well, radio, I thought was covered by AFTRA. I thought you had to be in, no.
we're a right to work state in Arkansas, so you don't ever worry about or deal with unions or any of that.
Gotcha.
Well, that's
You know,
I didn't know that about SAG. I thought so you have to have a unique. It's like horse racing. You can't have the same horse name, so you have to submit it to the racing board, and they have to look at the computer readout to see if anybody's used that name. So I'll be darned.
So
I'd say a really famous
Michael Keaton.
Michael J.
Keaton's real
Fox.
name-
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton's real name is Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
There was
Wow.
another Michael Douglas, and he chose Keaton after Buster Keaton.
Wow.
And then Michael J. Fox. There's another actor named Michael Fox back in the day, so he put J in, and just because he loved orange juice. So good thing he wasn't Michael. Good thing he wasn't Michael O.J. Fox. That would be a whole different career.
Man, that's fascinating. You know, going into this podcast, I was really hesitant because I thought this is going to be a waste of time, but it's already paid off. That's great. I didn't know that.
There you go. We're givers. Mr. ONeill. You know what's a pain with having the other name is after September 11th. So I have both names.
Oh yeah.
And now the state has put both names together. Now I have a third name, which is Ronald Myers Pierce. So I have all three names together in one as a third name. So travel is hard. Do you have any problems traveling?
Well, I do.
Greg ONeill, or do you?
The biggest problem is everybody in Arkansas knows me, so I'm just, hey, I knew the guy, so put me at the front at the funeral. But outside, so outside of Arkansas, though, that don't fly. I mean, literally, that doesn't fly. You got to have the ID with your real name and fingerprints and a specimen. So
Hankins it is.
Yep, Hankins it is.
So what would you say was you were famous for your prank phone calls? I mean, they're just amazing phone calls that you would do different character voices and just completely make idiots out of people. What was your favorite one, if you can tell in a kind of a nutshell?
Sure. It was the most famous one was to LaShonda Reed, who was waiting on her cable, and I called her as the cable guy and told her I was going to be late because I was practicing for a bass tournament, and she goes off. And unfortunately, she becomes the epitome of the angry Black woman, which now, 30 years later, is kind of not politically correct. In fact, I'd probably be hashtag. But one of my favorites, if you've got just a second, the highway sign company in Little Rock that made highway signs, I called them as the highway department and wanted to order a sign for Eureka Springs and Beaver Lake. Now, y'all don't know what I'm talking about, but Beaver Lake has a bridge over it that cars would drive over. And I wanted a sign because the kids up there in Eureka Springs were taking their shoes and socks off, walking barefoot over the bridge. And we need a sign to tell them not to do it. And the guy at the sign company says, well, sure, we can make any sign you want. What you want it to say? And I said, hot damn. Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you, it was a damn. Oh, yes. Well, okay. You'll edit that bit out. Well, never mind. So maybe it wasn't that good, but hey. By the way, none of y'all invented caller ID, did you?
No.
If I found a guy that invented caller ID, I'm taking his ass to court. He ruined it. He ruined a perfectly good fake career.
Yeah, that's true.
Carl, has it ever occurred to you that I did these pranks on people and now I'm a newsman?
I know.
Talk about fake news.
Yeah, that's what we were about to ask the next question. Ron, you actually hatched it the other day, so if you want to take it about TV.
Yeah, absolutely. So our show really is about people who have come from wherever they come from and realize their dreams. And obviously, you're kind of the epitome of that. All three of us here have realized our dreams and coming from way back. I was a street professional.
Really?
Ron froze up there. I don't know.
Uh-oh. So
he was just from El Salvador.
Well, I thought maybe he was a mime.
Yeah,
that's why I did that.
You froze for a second, Ron. So, anyways,
he's having problems translating the Spanish and back to English. And Carl, wanted to be a film reviewer and has become one of the better film reviewers in the country. So we've all kind of dreamed up our world. But in doing that, oftentimes we go down one road and then have to pivot to another road.
Right.
And you're going down the road, radio. All
Right.
of a sudden, TV. How do you pull that off? And was that a step up for you? And were you nervous? And
I didn't think I was, but everybody to this day who saw that first day I was on the air as a sportscaster said I looked like a deer in headlights. So I didn't think I was nervous. But here's the problem. When you reach where you want to get to, then it becomes real work, because then you've got to reinvigorate yourself and reinvent yourself and keep thinking, so the point of that is, in 1984, I was the #1 morning show, had great numbers. 16 years later, I decided, after now being #5 in the market, I probably should have done something else once I hit #1. So once we hit those goals, then what do? We got to re-challenge ourselves. So I thought, I love sports. Let's go into sports. Plus, I knew the manager of the TV station. And then after 8 years of sports, I fell in love with the Barack Obama candidacy and got enamored. I've always been enamored with politics, because when you make fun of it, you get to know it and remember it. So that's what I had done my whole radio career, and fell in love with Obama's candidacy and politics and Iran. I knew all about that, and education. I got involved in that, and the next thing you know, you're in news. And I use that baritone to put it on them every night. But I sure love doing this.
It's so impressive about how you realize I reached my goals. What's the next level?
Yeah.
When you reach a goal, what is it that inspires you to get to the next goal and the next?
Well, truthfully, it's competition. You start getting competition from other. I'll show him, or I'll show her, and so you get that competition in radio. You don't get that in stand-up comedy or necessarily movie reviewing, but in morning radio in the 80s and 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was very competitive. It was that way. It was like championship wrestling. And that's one of the things that made Howard Stern, was that sense of competition. There were some awful things that were done to him and him in return, but it was the competition that spurred you on. So you had to keep coming up with pranks or whatever.
So does it make you stronger?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Makes you more adaptable, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Does it make you better? How about that? Better?
There were some things I did after being #1 I'm not real proud of, but then there are some, like this call, the call from Johnny Carson, getting to do this. There are some benefits to that. Yeah. So I guess, it does make you, in some cases, better.
And
Sure,
Greg,
I think competition always makes you better, because you have to be more efficient, right?
Yeah.
And the cream will rise to the top. We say to my kids all the time, hard work always pays off. It may not pay off immediately, but if you keep working hard, eventually you're going to be very, very successful and get way down. So this is another question I have for you. If you could go back to the 10-year-old Craig ONeill, the 15-year-old Craig ONeill, and you see where you're at now.
Yeah.
Are you as far down the stream as you thought? Are you further down the stream?
You were asking that question that deserves to be on a cliff somewhere looking at the sunrise, instead of staring into a phone. I haven't thought about that in a while. When I was a kid, just getting on the radio was cool. Right. And then when I was in radio, just getting on TV was cool. And then on TV, getting on network. I have been on the network a couple of times, but no big whoop. But because I've got to do some great things as a part of this gig. I got to play the White House as a DJ. There are no DJs in America that ever played the White House. Wow. I played the White House. Did a party for Hillary Clinton's birthday in 1993 when they first moved in, and we all knew the Clintons real well. So I went up there and we did a surprise party for Hillary Clinton's birthday. Both of them.
It was a surprise party?
It was, and it was costume.
So they didn't know you were there until you showed
Oh,
up?
well, Hillary didn't, Bill
Snuck
did.
in?
And both of them talk about that party in their books, but they don't mention me.
Wow.
That's
But
quite an
after-
achievement, though. I mean, that's
Well,
pretty amazing.
And after it was over, the White House butlers who'd been there for years came to me and they said, "Man, that's the best party we've ever seen at the White House."
I bet.
Right.
Well, I was blown away until Lin-Manuel Miranda came in front of Barack and W. Hamilton.
Hey, so Craig, the thing is, you're right, with life, no matter what you achieve, it starts
Mhm.
becoming your new normal.
Mhm.
It's your new normal.
Yeah.
So what's the challenge now? Is it where's the
Staying
competition
alive, avoiding COVID, trying to remember to wear the mask in public. It's very simple. I don't know about y'all, but I'm just on hold. Because I've always been a people person, and Carl will tell you, out there performing for people, in front of people, and this is tough. I'd rather be with y'all around the table. I'm sure you would too. Around the table visiting than having to sit at home.
Well, ironically, Craig, you know about how I told you my family was, I don't know, I don't want to trash in depth or anything like that on a show, but they were very much hesitant about the vaccine. And guess what? I'm home on COVID quarantine right now, and so are they. I gave it to them all, but we're all surviving it. We got monoclonal antibodies, and we're handling it fine.
Hang in there,
Wow.
Carl.
Yeah. So even if you wanted to get together today, I wouldn't have been able to get together with you guys. So
Wow.
But we're
Wow.
okay. I've been 5 days without a fever, and that was my only symptom. So
What was your only symptom?
fever.
Oh,
And
okay.
my mom got the worst. of it,
Puffiness in
but
the cheeks,
she's okay.
apparently. A lot of puffiness.
No, that's just from like eating too damn
Double
much.
portion, Carl. Double
Double
portion.
portion. Yeah.
Hey,
I'm
Anyways,
impressed.
but
I'm impressed that you can say monoclonal so easily. Because
well,
when I see it on the teleprompter, I have to slow down monoclonal and then resume.
I've never had
Well,
monoclonal, but I've had mono like 8 times. So how about
that's not good.
I have a
Yeah,
question,
so-
Greg. You're such an artist and you're so creative with what you've done with your career. In other words, when I look at what you've done, you're always outside of the box a little bit. And to me, that is a real
Well, yeah,
precursor to being successful, I think.
and part of that, you were talking about the challenge. What do you do to challenge yourself? And part of that is, stepping out of the box, being crazy. For instance, here's a prime example. I get asked to do Chamber of Commerce speeches now as a TV anchor, to come do small town Chamber of Commerce speeches. So I thought, what would be cool? Just step up there and start rapping. Do a 2 or 3 minute rap to open your speech. How often have they seen that at a Chamber of Commerce? So I'd rap about the town I was in. And now that I've said that, you're all going, all right, do one, Craig. Well, I can't remember them, but that's the point. Stepping outside the box. You look to challenge yourself. So let's rap at the Chamber of Commerce meeting or banquet.
Well, so I know that you, I read an article about you and it mentioned the book, The Artist's Way. When I was I was on a TV series called Malcolm and Eddie with Malcolm Jamal Warner and Eddie Griffin. And Malcolm gave me the book, The Artist's Way.
Wow.
And I would like to know, I'm in a comic, you're a comic. It's kind of, we have different paths, but very parallel in a lot of ways. So
right.
How did that book affect you and what that you do for your art to get more ideas and expand who you are?
So many ways, in so many ways, because the art is the thing. And when you hit a desert, know that you're going to come out on the other side of the creative desert, and just to keep going, keep moving. Interesting development out of that book. Read it in 1996. And she says, Julia Cameron, who came up with The Artist's Way, says, in the morning, first thing, write a journal, 3 pages, no more than 15 or 20 minutes. Write it fast. Don't care about what you're saying. Just get it out. Just get it down on paper. Don't listen to what she called the blurts, the critic inside you. Just get it down. Since 1996, I have written every morning till now. Wrote this morning. Cannot start the day until I write in the journal. And there are probably about 250 journals upstairs in my house.
Wow.
And she is phenomenal. And she's partially to blame for going from radio to TV, because she wants you to, in that book, it teaches you or shows you how to think outside the box, how to be different, and how to think more expansively. There's a big world out there. Don't fear it at all. And that's the beauty of it. Take fear out of the equation when it comes to art.
Yeah. What's funny is we're saying it's in art, but I think it's in business. I think it's in inventing things. It's in kind of all of life, you know.
Right.
And I'm guessing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but getting you to do that kind of puts you to the creative side of your brain automatically, probably.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's the logical side of your brain that shuts all these things down. Well, I can't have a chartreuse or whatever color flowers aren't, because flowers are always red. You know, it's like, but if you're coloring and your creative brain wanted to make it some color that flowers aren't, you could make it that color. And it's a matter of getting that side of the brain to shut up, you know, to stop, and so that you can flourish in the other. I like the idea, and I'm so impressed that you're so dedicated to doing that many. Are some days harder than others to write down?
No, not now. It's so habitual now. No, I look forward to filling the paper. And the biggest payoff is when you're a wife of 50 years and you get into an argument. No, she was at blah, blah, blah. You can go back to the journal and read about it. You know, you've got a written record. But I like what you're saying. And what she didn't say this, but it's one that's always stuck with me. Leap and the net will appear.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's risk.
Yeah. Is the value in writing it, or is it in going back and seeing what your thoughts were?
No, it's the value in writing it. She was a writer. Julia Cameron's a writer, and she is speaking to the creative animal in all of us, and primarily writers. And that exercise of just getting it down on paper is like priming the pump, even if it makes no sense. And there are times now there you go. There are times within that journal, it makes no sense. And you can't read my handwriting. And it's not beautiful. It's not great prose, but by God, it's down there.
Jerry Seinfeld writes comedy 3 hours a day still. I mean, you know, it's the artist's way in that sense, for sure.
Yeah.
So I actually feel bad that I'm not doing more. But it's hard. You know, it's hard when you've got a family and you're building all these different things in your life. If you're just
got bills, you got a mortgage, kids at school, should I wear a mask? You got to juggle that.
It seems like one thing that you emphasize in your interview in Arkansas Times, and I think I've seen you talk about it elsewhere, is that you manage to do what you do because you keep a very strict daily regimen as well. Like you read an hour a day. What are some other things that are key to your
excellent? It's so stupid. I call them my games, but write in the journal, exercise, eat. I'm a very low bread guy, but I love bread, but I don't eat much.
Carl's really good at eating, aren't you, Carl?
I've got that down. That's
part
sure.
of his routine.
Double portion.
And by the way, oftentimes bread will make it into the journal.
As it should, sir, as it should.
And here one more. I have one dessert a month. The dessert of the month.
Oh my God.
Wow.
And it's so weird. I find that by restricting it, you enjoy it so much more. That if you're going to only have one and you eat that fudge cake, by God, you taste every molecule, knowing
Carl, take notes, Carl. Take notes now, Carl. This is the key to your success, Carl.
Yeah. Well, so do you have a favorite moment as a TV journalist, or a favorite story about Bill Clinton, since you know.
My favorite moment in TV was one of the biggest bloopers ever.
Oh God.
Because in sports, with the Razorbacks, and in Arkansas, y'all, the Razorbacks are it. That's why I feel sorry for California. You've got 93 teams to follow. No, you got 500,000 teams to follow. Who are you going to follow? And Arkansas is one team.
True.
That's right.
It's like voting for Putin.
Yeah.
My nephew.
Anyway.
My nephew.
So what happened with the blooper? What was the blooper?
Oh, now I want to hear about your nephew.
No, tell us the blooper, and I'll get to the nephew in a minute.
Well, I was in sports, and in the Arkansas Razorback locker room, they have a locker that's in the back of it is a mirror that's open. There's no door to the locker. It's just a open locker with a mirror in the back, so the players can look at themselves while they're getting dressed. So there was a player that had a great night, and our cameraman gets down on one knee to get right in his face in front of his locker, interviewing him, not knowing that reflected in the mirror behind him is an Arkansas Razorback football player right out of the shower, butt naked from the back. Fortunately, he never turns around, but he's there wiping off during the whole interview. And the guy had such a great game that we had to get that interview on the air. That was going to be the talk of college football.
Yeah.
So we play it back, not realizing it until it was on the air. And I'm on the desk in Little Rock, and the phone is ringing off the wall. And my friends, my lovely coworkers, say, "You're taking that call because that's your fault." I went, "Okay." I swear to God, this is true, Carl. Picked up the phone. A woman says, "Do you know what you just showed?" And I go, "Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry." And I went on this long apology. And she goes, "Hold it. You don't understand. I'm pretty sure that was my grandson. I know his booty anywhere."
That's awesome.
Greatest moment in television, Carl.
Well, I think on that, guys, we're out of time, unfortunately.
Oh, shut up.
God.
we gotta fit an hour exact on KABF
Wow.
88.3 FM.
Yay,
So
KABF.
yeah, so Craig, do you have a website anywhere that people can follow you on, or do you not do that?
No.
No.
I ain't got jack.
Well, if
In
you're in
fact,
Arkansas, folks, who tune in on KTHP channel
There you go.
11, 10 o'clock Mondays through Fridays, and the rest of the world, I guess maybe you can find you through the website of the station, maybe a little.
Yeah.
Find some stories. Interview. Yeah.
I wish I could help you, but I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been our premiere episode of Dream Up. And
You're
I'm Carl Kozlowski.
first and last.
Exactly. And our
Actually,
co-hosts have been
Ron, the mirthful married man, Pearson.
Antonio the Degenerate Delgado.
all
And
right, folks.
Next week, we're going to try and hopefully great comedian legend George Wallace on the show.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Greg, you beat George Wallace to the punch. All right, folks. This has been KBF 88.3 FM. We are eternally thankful to them for giving us the time. And now that has been Dream Up. Bye-bye.
Dream Up.
Oh.